You cannot get into ketosis on any low carb diet: keto, carnivore, low carb, high fat, snake diet, lion diet, carnivore diet, meat based diet, unless you regulate your blood sugar and your ketones. And a lot of you just don't know what that looks like. So let's get into it. Welcome everyone to my humble life, where I live in a camper. My feet are always cold because it's cold outside. All right, blood sugar, ketones. This is going to be a quickie. I've done like 10 videos like this, y'all. So for people who want to know even more, go into it, or I'll do a part 2 or 3. Okay, you can't get into ketosis unless your blood sugar is stable, moderate to low, and your ketones are moderate to high, like this. And if they don't go like this, you ain't going to get into ketosis. You might make ketones. You're not going to use them. You might use a little bit, but you're not really going to be fat adapted. Where your blood sugar's stable, you got that energy from years ago. Remember when I had videos where I'd say energy, energy, energy? That's because I went from severe hypoglycemia and crashing and napping to woohoo and crappy workouts to amazing workouts once I became ketotic. That's the state of being fat adapted. But it was a process. And understanding what your numbers are. I know a lot of people don't want to pay attention to numbers. That's not for y'all. This is for the people who want to go the extra mile and truly understand why they're still tired, why they still have PCOS, why they still have thyroid issues or gut issues or poor sleep, or can't build muscle, or have low energy, and have weird joint pain and histamine. And that's for these people, the numbers. You have to learn how to make ketones become stable, like on a table. And that is by eating fat, because the first thing that you do is you eat fat, because your body really doesn't know how to be highly ketotic. You eat the fat. The fat that you eat is converted into ketones, goes through the blood, swims through the blood, gets into the cells, and gives you the energy. Okay. Then we have the blood sugar. Now, the body's used to using blood sugar, and you want to switch gasoline types. So you can make sugar out of stress. You don't even need to eat a candy bar to have diabetic high numbers. You can just be stressed out, or have crappy sleep, or intermittent fast, and your blood sugar's like bing, 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 bing. Knowing what your A1C is and knowing your blood sugar is a great tool to decipher what your symptoms are doing. Like, you're like, why aren't I losing weight? Why am I crashing? Why am I tired? Why am I not having all these amazing benefits of being a carnivore or snake diet, or whatever garbage diet, whatever zealot type of diet that people push? Because everyone is different, and people require different dietary and lifestyle measures according to their individual health issues. So just because your neighbor did well on a carnivore diet doesn't mean that you will. You got to find what works for you, because you could be, let's say, hypoglycemic. If you are hypoglycemic, that means your blood sugar is bouncing like a freaking bouncing tennis ball. Basketball, tennis ball. Boink, boink, boink. And that comes from a lifetime of skipping meals and eating processed foods and, stressed out of your gourd, or stressed to the umpteenth degree, and developing poor sleep, and then developing fat and sleep apnea and all kind of stuff that ruins your sleep. Staying up late, looking at your cell phone, toxicity. These are the things that keep blood sugar high. And then the body's like, I could make ketones, but I'm just not going to use them because we got blood sugar right there. And that's not what you want, is to have your sugars dominate the inability to get into ketosis. Because when your sugars are high, it doesn't mean you have good energy. That's stored in the muscle. That's called glycogen. That's from carbs, right? Bread and your pasta and your beans and your rice and all of this and your sweet fruits. Well, that doesn't really store glycogen, but you know what I mean. Raise your blood sugar. If the blood sugar's high, the ketones are going to tank. They're going to go through the roof. They're going to be värdelös, which in Swedish means worthless. Glucose must stabilize. Moderate to low, ketones must stabilize. Moderate to high. If the ketones are too high, you're not using them. If your ketones are too low, you're not making enough. If your blood sugar is too high, you're not in ketosis. If your blood sugar is too low, you're severely hypoglycemia and you went from high to low. Otherwise, you're not going to get into ketosis. You're just not. Remember, poor sleep, stress, toxicity, poor thoughts, all of that. Not sleeping enough, training too hard, training too late, not training at all. All of these things can make it very difficult to get into ketosis. So, what numbers do we look for? And how do we get to those stable numbers and symptomology? Because it's more than just a number. The body is more than a number. What happen is, what you need to do is get a glucometer. There's different kinds. There's the Mojo and the Floor. I think it's called Floor. There's a bunch. Mojo is the most common. Ketone strips. You have different strips for ketones. You have different strips to the blood sugar. Same machine, different strips. That's why you're looking for a dual glucometer. Now the CGMs, I should do a whole video about CGMs. They're not accurate, but they can give you the algorithm of when it goes up and down while you sleep. And you put this patch on your shoulder for a couple of weeks, and then you can see what's going on with my blood sugar while I sleep or while I'm working out. Yes. What you want to do. Oh, there's one that's called the Freestyle. I'm not trying to remember them all. Mojo, Freestyle, Floor, and one more. It's out my mind. What you need to do is test your blood sugar. Oh, we got a little baby. We got a little puppy babies ready to get up. My mother's ancient dog. So we got to do like test your blood sugar in the morning on an empty stomach. That's objective, because when you're sleeping, you're not doing anything. So if it's running high, like you're literally running, why is it running high? Or if you ate a bunch of carbs when you didn't, test in the morning on a fasted, empty stomach. And I'm going to put this little puppy down and feed him something and get back to finishing this video so I can enjoy my day, even though my feet are like ice blocks. And I have these on. That just shows you. Multitasking. That just shows you how cold it is in my camper. Okay, so hey, you got your Uggs. I got the Ugg boots. I got these. Doesn't matter. Front toes still cold. That's nice. I'm back. I took the puppy out and I went to go visit my mom, and I fed the horses, and I looked at my house build, and I did a million things, like go to the post office, bunch of stuff, before finishing this video on blood sugar numbers. So let's continue with it. Before, I was explaining, depending on your existing health, do you have high blood pressure? Do you have high blood sugar? Do you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, where you tend to run high with your fast blood sugar? Then you might want to consider eating every couple of hours. That would be the real solution. High fat, moderate to low protein. But the numbers that you want to look for, that's the point of this video. You want to look at numbers to be ketotic, or to balance your A1C, your hemoglobin cells, or your insulin. You want to see numbers between a 75 and an 83 milligrams per deciliter when it comes to your glucose. Now, in millimoles, I believe it's a 4.3 to a 4.5, touching a 4.5. That's in millimoles. Most people use milligrams per deciliter. You want to test your blood sugar fasted. You wake up, bing, and then you go to your nightstand and you test your blood sugar as soon as possible. That would be considered an objective number. If it should be between a 75 to an 83. If it's a 74 and you feel great, you're fine. Most people, not everyone, when their blood sugar starts getting into the lower 70s and the 60s, they are hypoglycemic. Even if you make ketones, you are not ketotic. You're just not. Because you cannot stabilize your blood sugar because your insulin is having a party. That's not good. So, 75, 83, fasted. If you try to test for histamine, which you can do that with food, you test 10 minutes before you eat that suspicious food and 2 hours later. And if your blood sugar doesn't drop back down to that pre-eating of this suspicious food, like let's say I have bacon. Do I have a sensitivity to bacon? Test your blood sugar 10 minutes before, wait 2 hours and test again, and it should go back to that pre-eating of the bacon number. But 75 to an 83. If you find yourself at like an 84, 85, you're getting a little out of range, but I'm not hating on that. Or if you're like a 74, 73, but really there's a sweet spot range you got to look for. Yes, there is a sweet spot range. When your blood sugar's too high, the body's not going to either make the ketones or uptake and use them. If your blood sugar's too low, you probably went from high to low, which that's hypoglycemia, and you might have insulin issues, and ketones are piss poor when your blood sugar is bouncing. How you get your blood sugar to stabilize is to go to bed extra early. It's that simple. Diaphragmatic breathing, grounding, being outside, touching a tree, circadian rhythm, but really it's about eating something small every 2.5 to 3 hours. That's the best way to stabilize your blood sugar, as long as you're not having a histamine response to those foods. And if you're trying to be ketotic, then you wouldn't eat carbohydrates every 3 hours. You could do the allotted breakfast, and it really depends on the individual schedule. So take what I'm saying right now with a grain of salt. Baba woo woo. With a grain of salt. Then you want to test your blood sugar also, like post-workout. When you're done, your heart rate's back down to resting heart rate. See if your blood sugar spiked from your workout. You can also test in the evening or 2 hours after any meal. That would be considered a, not as much as an objective number like when you wake up in the morning, but it gives you an idea if you are suffering from hypoglycemia or if you're having a histamine response to a particular food. You typically will see a spike jump in your blood sugar 2 hours after you eat something. Everybody's blood sugar spikes within the first hour. That becomes subjective. So we don't want to do an hour. We want to do at least 2 to 2.5. So 75, 83 milligrams per deciliter. That's if you want to be ketogenic. Now I'll do blood sugar and not ketone, but blood sugar sort of chart recommendation, stuff to look for rather, for low carb, high fat. But today it's snake diet, lion diet, ketogenic, carnivore diet, where you're trying to drive ketosis. Your ketones need to be between a 1.8 and a 3.0. If they're higher than a 3, you're probably not using them. There's like ketones are swimming higher and higher with nowhere to go. You can't just make the ketones, you got to use them. If your blood sugar is running high, you're not going to use those ketones. You're not. Because the body's like, well, why would I use ketones when there's sugar right here? And that is why we try to get our sugar moderate to low. And I don't mean hypoglycemic low. I mean outside of the range of what you would do, like eating 33 grams of carbohydrates coming from like bread or a sweet orange. So then your blood sugar would be in the 90s. We don't want blood sugar in the 90s. 90s means we're not going to keto adapt. That's why we're looking for 70s. But we can't go too low because then you're hypoglycemic. Yeah, we don't want to be hypoglycemic. We're trying to stabilize blood sugar so hormones can stabilize. Ketones are 1.8 to 3.0. Pretty simple. But the blood sugar has to be 75 to an 83. Ketones 1.8 to 3.0. And you have to feel amazing all day long. You got to have that energy, energy, energy. And if you don't, you can make those ketones and not And that's a pain in the arse to make ketones and not use them. Like if you have histamine, you'll start peeing out the ketones. If you're reacting to food, if you're reacting to aged meats, if you are reacting to not being in ketosis, blood sugar keeps spiking, poor sleep, toxic exposure, all of these things can make your ketones unviable. Eating a little bit of fruit, some berries. I should do a whole video on don't add the berries to a ketogenic diet. You'll never get into ketosis. If you have one little berry, no. You've got to really try to eat high fat, moderate to low protein, and get some prebiotic fiber to stabilize the gut and microbiome. Again, it is quite simple to get into ketosis, but it takes time. Your liver has to function properly. Your gallbladder has to function properly. Because if your gallbladder is a little sludgy, that's my computer, you're not going to get into ketosis. You got to break down the fat to then make the ketones via the liver. So the liver has to function properly. The liver, the kidney, the gallbladder, all of it, they're connected by the same plumbing. So be careful, my people. If you don't get into ketosis, you can wreck your hormones, like your thyroid hormones, your sex hormones, pregnenolone steal. And that's a whole nother video about pregnenolone steal. Comment below. Are you not sure if you're in ketosis? Are you not sure? Because things like not working out late and not working out too hard, and it's so simple. Diaphragmatic breathing, eating every couple of hours, going to bed extra early, having high quality food, keeping away from alcohol and berries and nuts and cheese and caffeine. And then when you're ready to actually improve your health, you'll see yourself pop right in. When you first do the ketogenic diet or carnivore diet, don't do it for weight loss. Do it to improve your health, because if you're not healthy, you're not going to stabilize hormones, and hormones indicate if you're going to gain weight or lose weight. I know. Pretty simple. Comment below. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. My Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. I know, all these stupid names. If you need a consultation, go to stephanieperson.com and book a consultation, because I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I got energy from years and years and years of being in ketosis. I decided to do keto. You can do whatever diet that you feel. I cover all the diets, keto, carnivore, and low carb. I don't really push standard American diet, but if somebody needed to navigate through that, I can even show you how to navigate through that. But primarily low carb dietary measures and how to integrate your workouts and your lifestyle and your histamine and your leaky gut, because everyone is different. Some people react to one thing and not another. Not everybody, there's no stamp of everyone being the same. So then I can't teach about nutrition, like just do this, and it can't appeal to everyone, because their bodies are different. Comment below. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. My Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. My website is stephanieperson.com. If you need to book a consultation, I do run a course that is a monthly subscription of $15. I know, it's pretty cool. And that's through stephanieperson.com. And I'm out, because now I got to edit this thing and get ready for tomorrow's client. And I'm out. Energy.